Energetic Plant Growth. Dr. Rudolf Steiner, edited by Glen Atkinson, Ph.D. Version 2.2, the 6th of June 2023. My dear friends, in these first lectures you must observe how all agricultural products arise, how agriculture lives in the totality of the universe. 3. Let us draw the plant in its entirety, diagram 16. Down here you have the root, up there the unfolding leaves and blossoms. And as above, in the leaves and blossoms, the astral element, red, is acquired from contact with the air, so the ego potentiality, orange, develops below in the root through contact with the manure. The farm is truly an organism. The astral element is developed above, and the presence of orchard and forest assists in collecting it. If animals feed in the right way on the things that grow above the earth, then they will develop the right internal spirit, ego potentiality in the manure. If they produce this ego potentiality, it will connect with the plant's ego potential and cosmic forces. Already within the earth, see gold balls in the page 15 image, and work on the plant from the root, causing it to grow upwards from the root in the right way according to the forces or gravity. It is a wonderful interplay. 5. The plant world develops in such a way that it represents only physical corporeality, etheric corporeality, that is, in the actual plants themselves. But when we come to the astral element of the plant world, we must imagine this astral element of the plant world as an astral atmosphere which encompasses the earth. The plants themselves have no astral bodies, but the earth is enveloped in an astral atmosphere, and this astrality plays an important part, for instance, in the process of the unfolding of blossom and fruit. The terrestrial plant world as a whole, therefore, has one uniform, common astral body which nowhere interpenetrates the plant itself, except at most in a very slight degree when pollination begins in the blossom. Generally speaking, it floats cloud-like over the vegetation and stimulates blossom and fruit formation. 8. Plants' astrality. Let us be clear in our minds about the basis of plant life. Let us picture the surface of the earth and the plants growing out of it. We know that the physical organization of the plant is permeated by its ether body. However, the plant would not be able to unfold if the all-pervading astrality did not contact it from above by way of the blossom. Lilac. The plant has no astral body within it, but the astrality touches it from above. As a rule, the plant does not absorb the astrality, but only allows itself to be touched by it. The plant does not assimilate the astrality, but towards the blossom and the fruit there is interplay with the astrality which does not, as a rule, combine with the ether body or physical body of the plant. In a poisonous plant, however, it is different. In a poisonous plant the astrality penetrates into the actual substance of the plant and combines with it. A plant such as belladonna or, let us say, henbane, hyoscyamus, sucks in the astrality either strongly or more moderately and so bears astrality within itself in an uncoordinated state. Of course, for if it were coordinated the plant would have to become an animal. It does not become an animal, the astrality within it is in a compressed state. 9. Plant spirit ego. The plant ego's spirit dwell in the very center of the earth, whereas the animal group souls and plant's astrality circle round the earth like trade winds. All these plant egos at the center point of the earth are mutually interpenetrating beings, for in the spiritual world the law of penetrability prevails and all beings pass through one another. We see the animal group souls moving over the earth like trade winds, and how in their wisdom they carry out what appears to be done by the animals. Studying the plant we see that its head, the root, is directed towards the center of the earth where its group ego is to be found. The earth itself is the outward expression of soul and spirit beings. From the spiritual point of view the plants seem like the nails of our fingers. The plants belong to the earth, and when we look at them singly we do not see a complete entity, for the single plant is just one among the whole number of beings constituting a group ego. In this way we can enter into what the plants themselves feel. The part of the plant that springs up out of the earth, what from within the earth strives up to the surface, is of a different nature from what is growing under the earth. There is a difference between the cutting off of blossoms, stalk, leaves, and the tearing up of a root. The former gives the plant soul a feeling of well-being, of pleasure, just as it gives pleasure to a cow, for example, when the calf sucks milk from her udder. There is actual similarity between the milk of animals and that part of a plant which pushes its way out of the earth. When in late summer we go through fields where corn is being cut, where the blade is passing through the corn stems, then the whole fields breathe out a feeling of bliss. It is an intensely significant moment when we not only watch the reaping with our physical eyes, but perceive the feeling of contentment sweeping over the earth as the corn falls to the ground. But when the roots of the plants are pulled up, then that is painful for the plant souls. An outer circumstance might already suggest to us that, just as every stone has a certain relationship to the earth, so also everything plant-like belongs to it. Just as every stone, every lifeless body, shows its relationship to the earth by being able to fall onto the earth, where it finds a resistance, so every plant shows its relationship to the earth by the direction of its stem, which is always such that it passes through the center of the earth. All stems of plants would cross at the earth's center if we extended them to that point. This means that the earth is able to draw out of its center all those cosmic force radiations that allow the plants to arise. But present-day ideas can give no real information as to the exact relationships, because they do not penetrate to the realities involved. We shall have to consider the matter from various standpoints. Let us today choose this one. Let us consider, to begin with, the soil of the earth, which is the foundation of all agriculture. I will indicate the surface of the earth diagrammatically by this line. The surface of the earth is generally regarded as mere mineral matter, including some organic elements, at most, inasmuch as there is formation of humus or manure is added. In reality, however, the earthly soil as such not only contains a certain life, a vegetative nature of its own, but an effective astral principle as well, a fact which is not only not taken into account today, but is not even admitted nowadays. But we can go still further. We must observe that this inner life of the earthly soil, I am speaking of fine and intimate effects, is different in summer and in winter. Here we are coming to a realm of knowledge, immensely significant for practical life, which is not even thought of in our time. Taking our start from a study of the earthly soil, we must indeed observe that the surface of the earth is a kind of organ in that organism which reveals itself throughout the growth of nature. The earth's surface is a real organ, which, if you will, you may compare to the human diaphragm. Though it is not quite exact, it will suffice us for purposes of illustration. We gain a right idea of these facts if we say to ourselves, above the human diaphragm there are certain organs, notably, the head and the processes of breathing and circulation which work up into the head. Beneath it there are other organs. If from this point of view we now compare the earth's surface with the human diaphragm, then we must say, in the individuality with which we are here concerned, the head is beneath the surface of the earth, while we, with all the animals, are living in the creature's belly. Whatever is above the earth belongs in truth to the intestines of the agricultural individuality, if we may coin the phrase. We, in our farm, are going about in the belly of the farm, and the plants themselves grow upward in the belly of the farm. Indeed, we have to do with an individuality standing on its head. We only regard it rightly if we imagine it, compared to man, as standing on its head. With respect to the animal, as we shall presently see, it is a little different. Why do I say that the agricultural individuality is standing on its head? For the following reason. Take everything there is in the immediate neighborhood of the earth by way of air and water vapors and even warmth. Consider, once more, all that element in the neighborhood of the earth in which we ourselves are living and breathing and from which the plants, along with us, receive their outer warmth and air, and even water. All this actually corresponds to that which would represent, in man, the abdominal organs. On the other hand, that which takes place in the interior of the earth beneath the earth's surface works upon plant growth in the same way in which our head works upon the rest of our organism, notably in childhood, but also throughout our life. There is a constant and living mutual interplay of the above the earth and the below the earth. Physical formative forces. And now, to localize these influences into the physical formative forces, I beg you to observe the following. The force activities above the Earth are immediately dependent on Moon, Mercury, and Venus supplementing and modifying the influences of the Sun. The so-called planets near the Earth extend their force influences to all that is above the Earth's surface. On the other hand, the distant planets, those that revolve outside the circuit of the Sun, work upon the force activities that are beneath the Earth's surface, assisting those influences which the Sun exercises from below the Earth. Thus, so far as the force aspects of plant growth is concerned, we must look for the influences of the distant heavens beneath, and of the Earth's immediate cosmic environment above the Earth's surface. Once more, all that works inward from the far spaces of the cosmos as cosmic forces to influence the growth of plants works not directly, not by direct radiation, but in this way, it is first received by the Earth from the cosmic substance, and the Earth then raise it upward again. Thus, the cosmic force influences that rise upward from the earthly soil, beneficial or harmful for the growth of plants, are in reality cosmic influences rayed back again. The cosmic substance is working directly in the air and water over the Earth. The direct radiation from the cosmos, coming via the cosmic substance, is stored up beneath the Earth's surface as cosmic forces and works back from there. Now these relationships determine how the earthly soil, according to its constitution, works upon the growth of plants. We shall take plant growth to begin with, and afterwards extend it to the animals. 3. With the substance stream we must learn to distinguish those earthly forces which arise in the cosmos but are absorbed by the earth, and work upon plant growth as earthly substance from within the earth. These forces come from Mercury, Venus, and Moon and act not directly, but through the mediation of the earth. They must be taken into account if we wish to follow up how the mother plant gives rise to a daughter plant, and so on. On the other hand, we have to consider the cosmic substance forces taken by the plant from the outer earthly, and brought to it by way of the atmosphere from the outer planets. Broadly speaking, we may say that the forces coming from the nearer planets are very much influenced by the workings of lime in the soil, while those coming from the distant planets fall under the influence of silicon. And, in fact, the cosmic force workings of silicon, even though they proceed from the Earth, act as mediators of the forces coming from Jupiter, Mars, and Saturn, but not for those of Moon, Mercury, and Venus, which also work in the Earth as earthly substance. Now I want you to imagine that diagram number 9 represents the Earth level, where the influences of Venus, Mercury, and Moon enter as earthly forces into the Earth and stream again from below upwards as earthly substance. These are the forces which cause the plant to grow during the season, later produce the seed, and by means of this seed a new plant, a second plant, then yet a third, and so on. I indicate this schematically. All this goes into the power of reproduction and streams on into the succeeding generations. The cosmic substance forces, however, which take the other path, remaining above the Earth level, come from the secondary distant planets. I can draw this schematically in this way. These forces cause the plant either to spread into its surroundings or to become fat and juicy, to build matter into itself such as we can use for food because it is produced again and again in a continuous stream. 9. Take for example the flesh of fruit, an apple or a plum, which we can break off and eat. All this is due to the secondary workings from the distant planets. 4. Consider the earthly soil. To begin with, We have those cosmic substance influences that depend on the farthest distances of the cosmos, the farthest that come into account for earthly processes. These effects are found in what is commonly called sand and rock and stone. Sand and rock, substances impermeable to water, which, in the common phrase, contain no foodstuffs, are in reality no less important than any other factors. They are most important for the unfolding of the growth processes, and they depend throughout on the influences of the most distant cosmic substance forces. And above all, improbable as it appears at first sight, it is through the sand, with its siliceous content, that there comes into the earth what we may call the life ethereal and the chemically influential elements of the soil. These influences then take effect as they ray upward again from the earth, as cosmic forces. The way the soil itself grows inwardly alive and develops its own chemical processes depends above all on the composition of the sandy portion of the soil. What the plant roots experience in the soil depends in no small measure on the extent to which the cosmic life and cosmic chemistry are seized and held by means of the stones and the rock, which may well be at a considerable depth beneath the surface. Therefore, wherever we are studying plant growth, we should be clear in the first place as to the geological foundation out of which it arises. For those plants in which the root nature as such is important, we should never forget that a siliceous ground, even if it be only present in the depths below, is indispensable. I would say, thanks be to God that silica is very widespread on the earth, in the form of silicic acid, for instance, and in other compounds. It constitutes 47 to 48% of the surface of the earth, and for the quantities we can reckon practically everywhere on the presence of the silicic activity. But that is not all. All that is thus connected, by way of silicon, with the root nature, must also be able to be led upward through the plant. It must flow upward. There must be constant interaction between what is drawn in from the cosmos by the silicon, as cosmic forces, and what takes place, in the belly up above, as cosmic substance, for by the latter process the head beneath must be supplied with what it needs. The head is supplied with cosmic forces out of the cosmos, but it must also be in mutual interaction with what is going on with the cosmic substance in the belly, above the earth's surface. In a word, that which pours down from the cosmos and is caught up beneath the surface, as cosmic forces, must be able to pour upward again. And for this purpose is the clayey substance in the soil. Everything in the nature of clay is in reality a means of transport for the influences of cosmic force entities within the soil, to carry them upward again from below. When we pass on to practical matters, this knowledge will give us the necessary indications as to how we must deal with a clayey soil, or with a silicious soil, according as we have to plant it with one form of vegetation or another. First we must know what is really happening. However else clay may be described, however else we may have to treat it so as to make it fertile, all that, no doubt, is most important in the second place, but the first thing is to know that clay is the carrier of the cosmic upward stream. But this upstreaming of the cosmic influences is not all. There is also the other process, which I may call the terrestrial or earthly, that process which is also going on in the belly, and which depends on a kind of external digestion. For plant growth, in effect, all that goes on through summer and winter in the air above the earth is essentially a kind of digestion. All that is thus taking place through a kind of digestive process must in its turn be drawn downward into the soil. Thus a true mutual interaction will arise with all the forces and fine homeopathic substances which are engendered by the water and air above the earth. All this is drawn down into the soil by the greater or lesser limestone content of the soil, the limestone content of the soil itself, and the distribution of limestone substances in homeopathic dilution immediately above the soil. All this is there to carry into the soil the immediate earthly forces process. In due time there will be a science of these things, not the mere scientific jargon of today, and it will then be possible to give exact indications. It will be known, for instance, that there is a very great difference between the warmth that is above the Earth's surface, that is to say, the warmth that is in the earthly force domain of Sun, Venus, Mercury, and Moon, and that warmth which makes itself felt within the Earth, which is under the cosmic force influence of Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. For the plant, we may describe the one kind as leaf and flower warmth, and the other as root warmth. These two warmths are essentially different, and in this sense, we may well call the warmth above the Earth dead, and that beneath the Earth's surface living. The earthly and cosmic forces work in the processes of agriculture through the substances of the Earth. You know that in terms of contemporary chemistry, the main ingredients of albumin are the four main natural substances: carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and hydrogen, and, in addition, sulfur, as, so to speak, are omnipresent mediator and homeopathic agent in the operations of the other four. In the great spheres of nature, we can identify hydrogen as the dominant chemical element of the cosmic spaces, populated by the stars. Nitrogen is found concentrated in the atmospheres of some planets, with our own atmosphere comprising 80% nitrogen. Oxygen, we find only in our atmosphere, at 20%, as an expression of the very life forms it helps to support, while our earthly forms are primarily carbon-based. What interests us here is the fact that the function performed in the external world by CHON and their mediator sulfur is the same activity as is being individualized in man through the four organic systems. You will see then that the spirit-inspired ego organization is connected with the hydrogen in the same way that the physical organization is connected with carbon, the etheric organization with oxygen, and the astral organization with nitrogen. The composition of the external atmosphere is of such a nature as to furnish the ratio for the connection between the astral and etheric bodies, and concurrently between their partners, the physical body and ego. Where these chemicals are found, we see the action of the energetic activities. 2. Say we plant the seed of some plant in the earth. Here in this seed, we have the stamp or impress of the whole cosmos, from one cosmic aspect or another, carried in the astral sphere by the Saturni processes. The constellation takes effect in the seed, thereby it receives its special archetypal form. Now, the moment it is planted in the earth realm, the external forces of the earth influence it very strongly, and it is permeated every moment with a longing to deny the cosmic process, that is to say, to grow hypertrophied, to grow out in all manner of directions. For that which is working as earthly forces above the earth does not really want to preserve this form. Humus. The seed must be driven to the state of chaos at pollination. On the other hand, when the first beginnings of the plant are unfolding out of the seed, at germination, and at the later stages also, over against the cosmic form which is living as the plant form in the seed, we need to bring the earthly forces element into the plant. We must bring the plant nearer to the earth in its growth, and this we can only do by bringing into the life of the plant such life as is already present on the earth. That is to say, we must bring into it life that has not yet reached the utterly chaotic state, life that has not yet gone forward to the stage of seed formation, life, that is to say, which came to an end in the organization of some plant before it reached the point of seed formation. In effect, we must bring into it such life as is already present on the earth. In this respect, in districts which are well favored by fortune, a rich humus formation comes very largely to man's assistance in nature's household. For in the last resort man can but sparingly replace by artificial means the fertility the earth itself is able to achieve by natural humus formation. To what is this transformation due? It is due to the fact that that which comes from the plant life is absorbed by the whole nature process. To some extent, all life that has not yet reached the state of chaos rejects the cosmic influences. If such life is also made use of in the plant's growth, the effect is to hold fast in the plant what is essentially earthly forces. The cosmic force process works only in the stream which passes upward once more to the seed formation, while on the other hand the earthly force process works in the unfolding of leaf, blossom and so on, and the cosmic only radiates its influences into all this. The plant. We can trace the process quite exactly. Assume you have a plant growing upward from the root. At the end of the stem the little grain of seed is formed. The leaves and flowers spread themselves out. Now the earthly force element in leaf and flower is the shape and form and the filling of earthly matter. The reason why a leaf or grain develops thick and strong, absorbs inner substantialities, and so on. The reason for this lies in all that which we bring to the plant by way of earthly life that has not yet reached the state of chaos. On the other hand, the seed which evolves its cosmic force right up the stem, in a vertical direction, not in the circling round. The seed irradiates the leaf and blossom of the plant with the force of the cosmos. We can see this directly. Look at the green plant leaves. The green leaves, in their form and thickness and in their greenness too, carry an earthly force element, but they would not be green unless the cosmic force of the sun were also living in them. And even more so when you come to the colored flower, therein are living not only the cosmic forces of the sun, but also the supplementary forces which the sun forces receive from the distant planets, Mars, Jupiter and Saturn, as cosmic substance. In this way we must look at all plant growth. Then, when we contemplate the rose, in its red color we shall see the forces of Mars. Or when we look at the yellow sunflower, it is not quite rightly so called, it is called so on account of its form. As to its yellowness it should really be named the Jupiter flower. For the force of Jupiter, supplementing the cosmic force of the sun, brings forth the white or yellow color in the flowers. And when we approach the chicory, Sicorians intibus, we shall divine in the bluish color the influence of Saturn, supplementing that of the sun. Thus we can recognize Mars in the red flower, Jupiter in the yellow or white, Saturn in the blue, while in the green leaf we see essentially the sun itself. But that which thus shines out in the coloring of the flower works as a cosmic force most strongly in the root. For the forces that live and abound in the distant planets are working, as we have seen, down there below within the earthly soil. It is so indeed. We must say to ourselves, suppose we pull a plant out of the earth. Down below we have the root. In the root there is the cosmic force nature, whereas in the flower most of all there is the earthly force, the cosmic substance being only present in the delicate quality of the coloring and shading. If on the other hand the earthly substance nature is to live strongly in the root, then it must shoot into form. For the plant always has its form from that which can arise within the earthly realm. That which expands the form is the etheric inspired earthly processes. Thus if the root is ramified and much divided, then, as in the flowers coloring the cosmic nature is working upward, stimulating the cosmic substance, so here the earthly nature is working downward, stimulating the earthly substance. Therefore the cosmic roots are those that are more or less single in form, whereas in highly ramified roots we have a working of the earthly forces nature downward into the soil, just as in color we have a working upward of the cosmic forces nature into the flower. The sun quality is in the midst between the two. The sun nature lives most of all in the green leaf, in the mutual interplay between the flower and the root and all that is between them. The sun quality is really that which is related, as a diaphragm, for so we called it in picture 9, with the surface of the earth. The cosmic forces are associated with the interior of the earth and works upward into the upper parts of the plant, interacting with the cosmic substance. The earthly forces, which are localized above the surface of the earth, works downward, being carried down into the plant with the help of the limestone element to stimulate the earthly substance. Observe those plants in which the limestone strongly draws the earthly force nature downward into the roots. These are the plants whose roots shoot out in all directions with many ramifications, such, for instance, as the food fodder plants. I do not mean turnips or the like, but plants like sainfoin. Such things must be recognized in the form of the plant. To understand the plant, we must recognize the form of the plant and from the color of the flower, the extent to which the cosmic and the earthly processes are working there. Assume that by some means we cause the cosmic forces to be strongly retained, held up within the plant itself. Then it will not reveal itself to any great extent. It will not shoot out into blossom, but will express itself in a stalk-like nature. Where, now, according to the indications we have given, does the cosmic nature live in the plant? It lives in the siliceous element. Look at the equisetum plant. It has this peculiarity: it draws the cosmic nature to itself, it permeates itself with the siliceous nature. It contains no less than 90% of silicic acid. In equisetum the cosmic force is present, so to speak, in very great excess, yet in such a way that it does not go upward and reveal itself in the flower, but betrays its presence in the growth of the lower parts. Or let us take another case. Suppose that we wish to hold back the cosmic forces in the root nature of a plant that which would otherwise tend upward through the stem and leaf. No doubt this is not so important in our present earthly epoch, for through various conditions we have already largely fixed the different species of plants. In former epochs, notably in primeval epochs, it was different. At that time it was still possible quite easily to transform one plant into another, hence it was very important to know these things. Today too, it is important if we wish to find what conditions are favorable to one plant or another. What do we then need to consider? How must we look at a plant when we desire the cosmic forces not to shoot upward into the blossoming and fruiting process, but to remain below? Suppose we want the stem and leaf formation to be held back in the root. What must we then do? We must put such a plant into a sandy soil, for in siliceous soil, especially with high phosphorus levels, the cosmic is held back. It is actually caught. Take the potato, for example. With the potato this end must be attained. The blossoming process must be kept below, for the potato is a stem and leaf formation down in the region of the root. The leaf and stem forming process is held back, retained in the potato itself. The potato is not a root, it is a stem formation held back. We must therefore bring it into a sandy soil. Otherwise we shall not succeed in having the cosmic force retained in the potato. This, therefore, is the ABC for our judgment of plant growth. We must always be able to say what in the plant is cosmic and what is terrestrial or earthly. How can we adapt the soil of the earth, by its special consistency, as it were to densify the cosmic forces and thereby hold it back more in the root and leaf? Or again, how can we thin it out so that it is drawn upward in a dilute condition, right up into the flowers, connecting more strongly with the cosmic substance process, giving them color, or into the fruit-forming process, permeating the fruit with a fine and delicate taste? For if you have apricots or plums with a fine taste, this taste, just like the color of the flowers, is the cosmic force quality which has been carried upward, right into the fruit. In the apple you are eating Jupiter, in the plum you are actually eating Saturn. If mankind with their present state of knowledge were suddenly obliged to create, from the comparatively few plants of the primeval epoch of the earth, the manifold variety of our present fruits and fruit trees, they would not get very far. We should not get far if it were not for the fact that the forms of our different fruits are inherited. They were produced at a time when humanity had knowledge, out of primeval and instinctive wisdom, how to create the different kinds of fruits from the primitive varieties that then existed. If we did not already possess the different kinds of fruit, handing them down by heredity, if we had to do it all over again with our present cleverness, we should not be very successful in creating the different kinds of fruit. Nowadays it is all done by blind experiment, There is no rational penetration into the process. As I said just now, the man of today may know, though this knowledge too is very scanty, he may know how the air behaves in the interior of the earth. But he knows practically nothing of how the light behaves in the interior of the earth. He does not know that the siliceous, that is, the cosmic carrier, stone or rock or sand receives the light into the earth and makes it effective there. Whereas that which stands nearer to the earth, the living nature, namely the humus, does not receive it. It does not make the light effective in the earth. It therefore gives rise to a lightless working. Such things must be penetrated once more with clear understanding.